So in today's chapter, guys, after covering this, the arrays, we are going to talk about the functions, how to use the functions in the Access. Okay. Now in Access, if you have a good understanding of functions of Excel functions, then the good thing is that not only just in Excel or Excel VBA, many functions can be used in Access also, right? Of course, Access has its own functions also, which you which you won't find in the Excel. But two things: many functions which exist in Excel exist in Access also, so that is the added advantage. The second thing is, even if some of the functions which do not exist in the Excel and they exist in the Access, it does not really matter if you are if you're familiar with the Excel VBA programming. If you know how to use the functions in the Excel VBA, this is going to be very easy for you, right? But if you do not know, then also it is okay because we will start from the scratch. Now, there are two things in Access VBA when we talk about the functions. The first is inbuilt functions, and the second is the your own created functions, user defined functions. So let me just go and insert the module here, and let's go and write the functions. Okay, so I've given it a name, function basics 1. So let's go and check that how we use the functions. Okay, so I will start with a very important function. Uh, Now, just in case you want to go to the object browser, this is the object browser. This is the basically, you can say, the Bible of the Access VBA programming. When you click on there, you can find out any word in if that exists in the VBA or not. For example, you want to talk about the racket set. You have seen the racket set, right? It's not a new word for us. So you can see that there is a racket set here, the class, and then there are many members here. So if I click on the racket set, these are all the members of the racket set. What do you mean by the members of the racket set? That means when you press racket set dot, you can use all these your the properties. You can use all these the properties: find first, find last, next, and find previous. Get rows, last modified, last updated, move. We have done this: move first, move last. So if you remember how we used to go, we used to declare racket set as do dot racket set, and then racket set dot automatically, move first, move last used to come. It do come, right? Because once you declare any object as a racket set class, this is how it happens. So these are all the members, which means when you press dot, you can use all these things. Now, same way, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to check any function, whether that function exists in Access VBA or not, so let us go and check that. So let's say I want to check the left function. Now, when you press the left function, you have to go here and check if that exists or not. So we have to scroll it down. Okay. Now you can see that I got the left function, and it is a part of some class called attachment. Okay. But I'm looking for basically the function, right? A function which I can use. Now, this is what I was talking about. This is a function which is a part of VBA library, and it comes with the strings. Strings. So that means if you go and press strings dot, you would be able to see the left part. You will be able to see this function if you have to use it. Okay. Now, same way, I mean, there are a lot of functions. You can see that when you click on the string, you have here so many functions coming. These are all the functions which we can actually go and use it. There is a so strings actually is a class, guys, which has all these formulas. They are all these all formulas are the member of the strings class. So that means if I go and write here strings dot, I can use my all these functions. You can see that these are all the functions, right? Now, why do we call them class? I wanted to give you this also understanding. Basically, every object is defined somewhere in VBA so that you can work on it. Whether they are the tables, the queries, the forms, reports, we can refer to them. So when we want to refer to them, we use actually their classes. For example, when you want to work with the entire table, or I would say the information, what you do, you say that it is my variable as do dot record set, right? So why record set? Record set because in VBA there is a class called record set which is defined, and Microsoft said that if somebody wants to work with that record set, if somebody wants to work with that piece of information which has bunch of records, in order to move left to right or up and down, we want to give some functionalities to this class called record set, like dot move next, dot move last, dot move dot, so on. Move first, move last, move next, move previous. So they have given us these functionalities, and because of which we are able to use these classes. Okay, so class is nothing. It's basically a platform, a place where my objects are defined, because every object is different and every object has a different way of, approaching the things. For example, dot move next, dot move last, you can't use it with everything. It is not how it is designed, right? You can use this only with those things for which it is actually meant for. For example, the racket set, that's the class, right? So everything has its own structure. Right now we haven't used much of the other classes. I know we have used the Requisite class, but we haven't really talked about the other classes like file handling, folder handling, so Outlook, how to connect, the access with it. So we will do those things. So just keep this thing in mind that classes are nothing. Classes basically are the place where our objects are defined, and because of these classes, we go and use their members. Okay, so let's talk about the functions now. Now there is one more thing which I want to tell you. There is another function in Access which we want to use, and that this is what it is: application, right? So this is a part of your application class. There is one more class in Access which is called application, and here we have a dlookup formula, daverage, dcount. Basically these are the functions you can use apart from the string class. So these are also the functions, right? Dlookup, dlast, dmax, dmin. There are a lot of amazing functions here. I do not know all the functions, right? So we're gonna use all these uh, things. So let's go and talk about this now. So the first thing which I want to show you is, um, let us go and create a very simple function called left function, let us say. So left function. So how to use the left function? So what I do is I see that dim str as a string, and my str equals to, let's say I write here my name is Ajay. Okay. Now if you have to extract just my from this entire string. How you can do that? If you know the left function, it's very easy. But I still like to explain you this in Excel if you do not know, because in Excel it would be easy for us to use this Excel the left function. So I go and open the Excel. So if I have a name, let's say Ajay Parmar, and I want to extract only Ajay from this, you can use the left function like this. Left, and then you have to give the text. So what is the text? My text is this. This is how we select. And how many characters I want from the left? So how many characters you have? You have 4 characters. So just go and write 4. Simple. If you go and write 2, you get 2 characters from left. So for left, we don't have to communicate specifically that you got to start from left. It is going to pick up by default. It is going to pick up by default, from the left only. So same way, when you come to the axis, when you come to the axis, this is how we use. So let's say I create my message box and I use the left function. When you use the left function, string means what is your text? I write here str, which is my variable, and how many characters I want? I want only 2 characters from the left. That is how it is. Now when I run this, guys, in this string, my name is Ajay, this will pick the 2 characters from the left. Look at this. Right now I'm using just a variable, but it can come from the table as well. For example, let's go and talk about it. So let's say you have this test table. Okay, maybe not the test table, but maybe something else. Uh, yeah, maybe let's say this is my test one table, a small table. Now what I want to do? Now I want to say that I want to create a new field here having the abbreviation of these boards. So for ICSE, it should be IC, and for board, it should be CB. Just an example. So two things interesting we are going to see here. One is obviously using the left function, how you can modify this. But while modifying, we are not going to bring any changes in the board. We are going to create a new field here, a new field. Okay. So in that case, how we are supposed to work on this? So the first thing which I want to do is I want to, in this table, I simply want to create one field and I keep it as empty. Okay. So I go and create the insert field, and from here also you can insert the field. I hope you know that. So I write here abbreviation or whatever you want to write. Okay. And this is where we will go and fill in the shortcut. Now, if you want, if you think that, or maybe if you have a question that can we not create this field in the VBA, we can do that. But we haven't learned the SQL queries right now. But we can create the table. There is no problem. We can definitely create a table in VBA which can create roll number, board, and abbreviation. Okay, and so right now I have just created it. Now let's go and insert the abbreviations in this record set. The name of the record set is test one, you know that. So this time we will use function in the record. So sub left function. The first thing I go and define my record set. So I go and define dim rs as du record set, and then rs equals to new record current db dot open record set. This is how we define it, right? Then we want to open the table. I go and open the table test one, and I keep this DB open, Dynasect. Okay. So the first thing which we will do is you can write the loop there that if the end of the file and the beginning of the file are true, then that means there is no record. So please avoid it, right? So I know my records are there, so I will not use that line. But as I said before, that please mention that line always. Now we will go on the top of the record head. So we say that move next. Now move next is a member of this RS, which is a record set class, right? So you know that move next is not always, I mean, you can use that with with any other, the class, right? It is specifically given to the record set class, these members. Every class has its own members. Okay. When in the future we will be talking about the more classes, then I will show you what I mean. But the point is, for the record set, we have the members like move next, move previous, the name as well, right? Now, the icons which you see in the yellow with this rectangular box, they are, of course, called the members, but specifically they are called the methods. Method means anything which does some action. Now, move next, move previous, they are all going to do some action. The another one word which you should be familiar with, this hand sign. This hand sign. This is called the property. Property means it tells you about the object. So any class, you will find the objects which are relevant to that class, they have the properties and the methods, which we can use using the dot operator. This is how it is. Property means it tells you about the object information. It will not do any action. For example, if you want to check the name of this, it will tell you the name called test one, that's how it is. No match. If there is any match or not, this tells you about the property. This tells you about the object. But these move next, move previous, or move last, all these move, they are all actually called the methods because they do some action. So you will find here two icons, one with the holding like, envelope sign, some document is holding with the hand sign, and this is your yellow box, right? This is a method and these are all the properties. Like property last modified. You can also check that when the record set was, modified recently and when it was last updated. So these are all the things which tells you about the object, and that is why we call them properties. So let's go and talk about the move first. So we will write do while not record set end of the file loop. This is how it is, right? So we have created the loop. Now we will start from the beginning. So what we are supposed to do, that you have to capture the abbreviation. So you go and write here my field, which is my abbreviation. Okay. So you can write here a quote as well. I mean index as well, which is 012. So I just go and write here that this is my field. I'm not writing abbreviation here. Then you go and pick the left. You can also use, some people also use the class with the function like this. Left is a part of strings class, right? Class, as I said, that class is something where we have all the its members defined. Now, in the string class, obviously, you can't expect that I'm going to use the move next. There's no word coming, right? Because with the functions, move next, move first, move previous does not really fit. It does not make any sense, right? Because they are not a table where we have to scroll up and down. So that is what I'm trying to tell you. Every class has its own different members. It depends what all sort of things we can do with that particular class. When we talk about the record set, obviously we would like to go, in the different rows one by one, in the different records one by one. We want to maybe go from left to right, from maybe down to top, or maybe from top to down, right? So similarly, string is a class which serves us a lot of functions, right? That's why. So, yeah, so if you search in the Google, what are the classes, or if they ask you in their interview, you can tell them that class basically is a blueprint of an object, right? Blueprint means that object, the entire structure of the object is defined in the class. When I say entire structure, I mean that what things you can do with that object, what things you cannot do with that object. They are defined there, and that we can use with the dot operator. So when I write the class name and then dot, I start seeing a drop down. So dot is a very, very important operator here, which joins the class and its members. So you will you can use the class methods and the properties. Okay, methods means you can, if you want to do some action, and property means when you want to know something about that object which is defined inside that class. So people call the class and the object, I mean, you can, i- in a way, you can say that object and the class both are same, because obviously a class is a place where objects are defined. So if I have 10 objects in Access, they will have the different methods and the properties, right? Because what you can do with the record set, you can't do with the strings class. You can't do with that application class, which I showed you, where we just saw the delookup function. Or maybe in the future, when we will be learning about the how to handle the folders and the files, you will be going to learn another class which is called the file system object class. So file system object class is different, strings class is different, record set class is different, every class is different. So basically, because every object is different, and with every object, you have to work in some specific way. So what they have done is they have just defined all these objects into their classes, and they said that user, I have 10 classes for you, and all these 10 classes are meant for these 10 different objects. So just whenever you want to use something, you can go and pick up that class accordingly and start using it. Like in this case, I want to use the left function, so they said that use the strings class. You don't have to necessarily use the strings dot, as I said that, because your left function still works. Like here we have used it, but by default, when you write the left function, it is you're able to use it only because of the reason it is defined somewhere, and that is nowhere but in the strings class. Because if I say that left me, is there any function with the left me, or is there any function which you think that should exist but it does not exist? So if you can't see the function here, you cannot work with that. For example, you want to use the VLOOKUP, you can't use the VLOOKUP in Access. In Excel, this is one of the most used formula, but in Excel, yeah, in Access it is not, because in Access we don't have a VLOOKUP, we have something else. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. So now you use the left function. So what is a string? Now string obviously would be my board, which will change, as we go from the top to the bottom of this record set. So the first thing which I want to do is I want to say my field, and my field is going to be 1. This is how it is, value. Make sense? Now, once this is done, guys, you will have a new field which is going to be, let's say I want only 2 characters from the left, you know. So this is going to be a new word, and that new word is going to go here in this field, which is abbreviation, right? So better, I think we should go and write the name, because this is not looking good to me. I think I can go and write it abbreviation, so that when you practice it, you should. It's easy for us to remember. Now, once you have this new field coming, you want to go and obviously edit that. Okay, so let's go and talk about that now. And by the way, why I'm getting the error? I think I forgot to put the double quotes here. Yeah, okay. So now we can say that I go in the edit mode. This is how we go in the edit mode. And once we have that value coming, we the new value coming, we will go and update the record set. Once you update the record set, what is the next thing you want to do? You simply want to go to the next record. Move next. This is the method which we have, which we can use with this record set class, right? So I think we are done with this. I can go and run this quickly. There we go. So you can see that my record set field is coming as CB, right? From this CBSC. I'm just extracting two text. So this is how it is done. So finally, guys, we are done with this. Now let's go and check that. Now you can see that it is done. So that is how you can use these left function, right function. There are many functions. Okay, I'm gonna talk about one more function because I cannot, go and explain all the functions. Obviously, it's not possible. Uh, but if you know how they are used, you can use them. So one more thing in this text function, let's say what we want to do is,
So
yeah, Anand.
there is also take out the left word, how many characters, like tilde space. How can we do that?
Uh, so
It's not like suppose now ICSE, two characters were taken. Sometimes I need to take three characters based on the space between the words. So till the next word I need to take it.
you mean for everything, the number of characters vary?
Yes, sir. So that depends with the space.
Yeah. So you see, the thing is, if you if you talk about this particular example, so the question is that what now in this example we extracted two characters for every record. So we just written there left and then comma two. Now the question is, what if I have to extract maybe two from this record and three characters from left here and one character from here? Now the thing is, generally you use this sort of requirement in in those uh, in those values where you have some delimiter assigned. Otherwise,
Exactly. Suppose that we have first name and last name together in one field.
yeah.
What I
So
yeah.
let's do one thing. Let me insert the field here, and let's say I have a name and let's say city.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So for example, you have given Sudhakar and the city is, let's say, New York, and here Ajay, Delhi, and then Remo, let's say ABC, Anand, BGL. Now you want to separate the name at the city or maybe just the city. You want to go and create a new table, or maybe not a new table, but maybe here, let me go and insert this. Yeah, so now let's go and create another function. So let's say now in this function, first of all, understand um, how you can find out the city. Let's say you want to extract the city. Okay, so basically I go and insert one more field here and I create here a name. Now you understand one thing. Here we have to find the position of your hyphen first. And whatever comes before the hyphen, that is going to be my name, and whatever comes after the hyphen, that is going to be my city. I again take you back to the Excel. Now, if you do not know this, you can't do in the Access. I mean, if you do not know how to find the hyphen. So this is, let's say you have Ajay and hyphen and ABC. Now you see guys, I have to separate them using a formula. So first I go and find out the hyphen because with the hyphen they all are separated. Now how you can use the hyphen? You use the find word. This is a function. Okay. So what we do, we say find. What do you want to find? This text. Now when I say that find, now these are all, these are all the functions which you should know in the front part. This has nothing to do with the programming. In the programming, we just learned not the functions, what are the definitions, how, what is the use of the function. That the use you should already know because you're learning the programming. We just learned that how to incorporate that, how to write that in the programming form. But still, I'm trying to give you the idea. So we say that I want to find this hyphen within this text, and my start number has to be 1 because I want to start from first character. Now this returns the position of your hyphen. Now if hyphen is on the fifth position, then that means if I subtract -1 from it, you know, this is what I want to extract from the left side because this is what I'm seeing now here as my full name. So I go and say left and I go in this text and I just now go and select this I9, which means that how many characters I needed from the left. So you need how many characters from the left? You need 4 characters from the left. This is what we are supposed to do. Now the same way, how to get the ABC? Now to get the ABC, you should be familiar with the mid function. It has 3 parameters: text, start number, and number of characters. Now, because I don't have to, now I cannot go and start from the left. So that's why I have to use the mid because ABC is not on the left side. It's somewhere, the A of the ABC starts somewhere in the mid of the this string. So I go and select this text and then I say that what is my start number? So what is your start number now? In this case, my start number actually is this A, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is on the sixth position. But the point is, maybe when you drag this formula downward, you may have a different names where you may not need to start from 6, where you have to start from some another position. Because if you have a long name, for example, you have a Rajkumar hyphen Rao, in that you can't start from 6, right? So that's why we found the position of hyphen because this is dynamic. Every time when you drag this, a new find will give you a new value of hyphen. So I see that +1. So whatever position I got from this hyphen, I got the position of hyphen from this find. I just go and add 1 to it because I want to go to the next cell. And then how many characters I need? Well, I do not know because every name after the hyphen will have a different spellings. So you can keep the buffer there, right? This is how we use the functions in the Excel also. So that's how you will be able to separate them. Now, same way, I go back to the Access VBA and I will talk about this. So now we are going to use the left function and the mid function. Okay. Now, in order to check whether the mid function exists, because left already there, you can write the mid function like this. So we have a mid function here, right? So do we have a find function as well? You see that the find function is not coming. In Excel, though, it was there. So how are you going to check whether this function exists or not? I can go to the object browser and I can see that find. Now find should be a member of some class, So I will search my find here. I'll press F and there we go. So do we have any find function? Well, it's coming in the module. I'm not sure what this class is all about, but I'm trying to find it out in some function class like strings or like application. I don't think so it is there. So it's not there, right? So if I go and write here strings class, we can also find out directly if we know the classes, we can go and find out whether we have that there or not. So this is my string and I go and press F here. So these are all the function which starts with F. So basically it is not there. Find is not there, but a formula which does the same job, which can find out the position of the hyphen exists there. And this is called the instr. Start, string 1 and string 2. So this is what we are going to use. So there are a lot of functions here, instr. Let's go and do that. So the first thing which I want to do is, obviously I want to declare my record set. So I go and declare the record set. This is how. So I will go and copy the entire, this. So you're going to use three functions here, right? Three functions. So let's go and see that. So I have my record set open. Now here what I want to do. Now we will go and first of all open this table, right? And we will be going to talk about the name city. Now generally people create the space in these name city. My advice is never create the space between the field names. Join them with the underscore if the name is long. The reason is because if you do like that, then here you can't simply just go and write, the name city. Like for example, here name city. You have to put that in the square brackets if there is a space, right? So this generally, is something which is the extra step you have to keep in mind, especially when you run the SQL queries. Okay, so I go and create this underscore. When we talk about the SQL queries, I'll come back to this point that why it is not a good idea to keep the space between the field headers, right? So this is what I've done. Now, the first thing, guys, which we want to do is I want to directly not use this record set. I want to create here find a word called find position, a variable, right? Now, this variable should get the position of the hyphen. So I go and write find position as integer. Okay. Now, once I have got that variable created find position, I will go and target my header with the function called instr. And you saw that it is a part of your strings class. If you do not want to use that, you can use without class as well, right? Prefixing class is not mandatory. If you when you write the formula and you see the parameters, that's okay, right? But still I like to create it so that you should know that it is a part of strings class. There is a class called strings which has lot of functions. Tomorrow when you want to search anything, you can go and search in that, the class. Now start. So what is my start? What is my string one and what is my string two? So in this case now you see, if you look at the Excel function called find, the find first go and say that what you want to find, and then it say where you want to find which text, and then you say the start number. This is how it is, right? But in the access it is little different. It says start. The start comes first. In the find, in Excel find, it comes in the last. Does not matter, right? You don't have to remember because everything is crystal clear. You can see the parameters. Now, what is my string one? Now, string one is what you want to, where you want to go. So that would come from your this field, which is name underscore city. So I can go and write here rs dot fields, and then I can go and write here name and city. This is my field. So this will give me the Sudhakar hyphen New York. And then what do you want to find? I go and write here hyphen. This is how it is. Let's let us go and check that. Maybe I can be wrong. Let's go and check that. And we don't have to edit the record right now till the time we don't separate them. So I go and run this program now. So we got some issue here, which is item not found in this collection. Let me click on the debug. So first of all, I want to check. So there we go. So I have a problem here. You know what is the problem, guys? When I hover here, I see that it says item not found in this collection. That means this item does not exist, and it's not hyphen actually, it's underscore, this field, right? Now when I let me run this, now you can see that I got the position number of my hyphen. Perfect. Now I got the ninth position. Now the good thing about this is that this keep on changing every time, because next time you will have a new record, which is Ajay and Delhi. So what is the now position? Now you have a position called 5, because in Ajay Delhi it starts with 1 2 3 4 5. So you have here 5. So this is every time will change. Now again it is 5 because Remo hyphen ABC and Ajay hyphen Delhi has, Ajay also has 4 character, Remo also 4 characters. So we are getting the correct result. And now we're getting the 6. So the first part is done. Once you find the position, you want to go and pull off the name from it. You want to separate the name. So for that, I go and create one more variable. Okay. You can create, or maybe you cannot. I mean, that's all up to you. You can directly also write that this is my field, and my field is my name underscore, this underscore. Okay. Why I put the name underscore? Because name actually is a VBA word. So just to avoid the conflict, I have written the name underscore. So I can write here, RS field, and then name finally. You can directly also write so this field should have now a value, which is what? Which is your strings dot left, and then from left, what do you want to do? You want to go in this string. Which string? Well, the string which is coming from this name city, because this has my entire name with the city. So I go and copy this. Now, how many characters do you need? Well, in the previous example, we wrote 2 if you remember, but this time, no, because every name has a different number of spellings. But we know we have already found the position of hyphen. So I simply go and say find this position variable -1. Whatever value my find position returns, I will subtract 1 from it, because I want to capture the characters coming before this name and city. So that is how it is. Now, once you have done that, so you go here in the edit mode and you go and update that. Now, this is done for the name part. Same way, guys, you can go and copy this entire syntax again and paste it here. Now, again, I go in the edit mode, or maybe you don't have to write it, 2 times. I have a better solution. You have edited the name. Now you will go and edit it the city. So you go and write here city. Now how you get the city? I told you that you can use the mid function. So we will go and use the mid function. I remove this strings dot mid. What is my string? My string is this entire field. So this is my field. This is where I go, and I want to start from where? Now, wherever I have my hyphen found, I want to go to the next character of it, to it. So you already found that hyphen in the variable called find position. Now, because I want to go forward, then I will use the +1 because you want to capture the city, and the city, the first character of the city is coming after the first hyphen. Once you give the direction to the mid function from where to start, then you go and say how many characters you need then from there. Now, New York, Delhi, ABC, BJL, some has 3 characters, some have 5 characters, some has 15 characters. You never know how many characters you will have. I'll keep the buffer of 20 because I know my city is not longer than this. That's how it is. So we have got now all the 3 functions in place, and this is how we can now start working on it. So let's go and run this. Now you can see that the first position I get here as 9 because my field is Sudhakar underscore Sudhakar hyphen New York, right? I got it. Now I go in the edit mode now. What I'm supposed to do, now you are supposed to go use the left function. You are supposed to go in the Sudhakar hyphen New York item value, and you want to extract how many characters from the left? Well, I want to extract the characters from the left till the time I'm not through with the last character of Sudhakar, which is R, which comes before the first hyphen. You already know the hyphen is on the ninth position, so you just go and subtract -1 from it, and that becomes 8. So that means you are saying that left function, please go in this field and get me the 8 characters from the left. And finally, you have a new name which is Sudhakar. Same way, you go and use the mid function. You say that go in this field Sudhakar hyphen New York, and please go and start from where? Because I need the New York, so I should start from N. So the point is how you can go to the N without knowing the hyphen position. But we already got the position of the hyphen, which is 9. But we do not want to include the hyphen. We want to start from the 10th position because after the hyphen, the character which would be that would have the one position, extra. So that's why I'm saying 9 plus 1, which makes it 10. So it will start from N. Now, once it starts from N, I want 20 characters from there. 20 characters overall, right? Because I know no city will have more than 20 characters. So even if a city has 3 character, 5 character, 10 characters, they are all going to be covered in this 20. I'm giving the maximum buffer. So now when you run this, you have a city called New York, and this gets updated in your record tab. So this process keeps on moving. Now the next time when you have a new record, that is going to be Ajay and Delhi. Now in Ajay and Delhi, my hyphen position will change, right? Right now, if you look at this, this is 9. But the moment I run this, this becomes 5. So we have made the things dynamic using these functions. So now you go again in the edit mode, and now you see that from the left of this, my string called Ajay hyphen Delhi, I want how many characters? 4, 5 minus 1. That means you'll get the Ajay. Same way you say that mid, please go in the Ajay and hyphen Delhi and start from which position? 5 plus 1. Start from 6th position, and starting from the 6th position, get me the 20 characters. So this entire process keep on working like this. Let me go and press F5. And now let's go and check our table, and this is what we have. So this is how you can make the things dynamic. So this is how we use the functions These are called the inbuilt functions. Inbuilt functions means the functions which already exist in Access VBA. Now let's talk about one more important function which we will be using in the coming projects. So you should be knowing about it. That is called the DLOOKUP. Now, like we have a VLOOKUP in Excel, same way we have a DLOOKUP in Access. Okay, so I will go and give you a demonstration on this. So what we are supposed to do here in this case is, right now, because we haven't learned how to create the forms, but obviously, guys, you're learning the Access VBA, so I expect you to know the how to create the forms in the Access front end, right? I mean, little bit idea you should have, but anyways, even if you don't have, let us go and create a login form. What login form? This is your employee database. You have here employee IDs. Now what I will do is I will go and create here one more field which will have the passwords. Okay, like this. Or maybe we can do one thing. Let me just go and create a, the copy of this. Let's not use this. Maybe have we have created some code using this table. So I go and say that login employee data, login maybe details. Okay, structure and data I keep the same. So guys, in this table, let us say I plan to have my the you know the username, and so here I have my username. We don't need the employee ID, that's not required, but I'm just keeping it. And one more field I want to insert, which is the password. So I quickly go and write here Ajay, and then Remu, and then let's say Anand. So let's say I have created these three names. I just keep the data short, and they have the password. So Ajay, let's say, has a password called by the name of Ajay. Remo has a password called, let's say, good, and Anand has a password called uh, anything. I mean, you can, let's say, write hello, right? Now these are the passwords. Now I want to make sure that user should be able to access this entire my database, you know, if they provide the proper username and the password. So first of all, we'll go and create a form. You go in the create, like you go and create the design queries. I just go and click on the form design. So I click on the form design, and this is how the window come. And now here I will go and create two my text boxes. So this is in the design window. This is where you have all these buttons, right? Like you have this. This is my uh, button called the text button. This is my label. This is my command button. This is my tab control. This is my link. I mean, there are n number of things. We will do all the important ones. This is the option group. This is the navigation control. This is the page break. This is the combo box, one of the most used control. And when you click here, you get to see a couple of more, like the list box as well is there, the check box is there, the attachment is there, the option. So these are all the very useful, actually, the controls. So how the first thing I want to do is I want to ask the user what is your username and what is your password, right? So for that, obviously we need the text box. We need to create a text box so that he can enter the information. So this is your text box. Click on this and just go and draw this in this way. You know, that's how we draw the text boxes. This is the one. I can copy this, Control C, and I can paste it. Or maybe you can go and from the wizard, you can just draw it again. So when you select this, then you can drag them like this in this way. So the first text box represents my username. So I can go and click inside this, simple. and you can change this to something meaningful password, right? Now, when I select this control, which is my text box, you see in the property sheet, you by default get this text colon open parenthesis close parenthesis. Basically, if we have to do any changes in this text box, we have to click on this and we have to go in the property sheet of this. If you don't see any property sheet, when you click on this, for example, I'm clicking on this and you're not able to see the, that window here, you just need to go and click on this property sheet. So when I click on the property sheet, I'm on this my text. So it has many things: data, format, event, other, all. These are all the different tabs. So let us go and talk about some of the important ones. So now what I do is the very first thing, guys, which you want to do, go to the all, and on the top here, this is a scroll bar. Remember, maybe the scroll bar, when you go to the property, it shows you here, and then you wonder where is that option called the name. Okay, scroll it, go on the top. Now this is a by default name which Access has given, and I seriously do not want to keep this because I want to refer these controls by something which I can remember. So I go and write here txt. Txt is a shortcut I use for the text boxes. Generally people use this, but there's no compulsion. But let us give it a name which we can easily remember. Okay, I'll tell you just in a while. You will understand the use of this txt username. So I given it a good name. You don't have to go on any other thing right now. Okay, let's just give it a name. Select this now. Now this is a text too, you can see here. So we go and give it a name called password, right? Because if I go by the by default name which Access gives, text box 1, text box 2, text 3, text 4, if you have, let's say, 15 text boxes created in a form, you won't be able to remember when you will do the VBA coding that which text box refers to which, for which purpose. But if you give them the name like txt password, txt username, when you go in the VBA environment and you start writing the code, it will be very easy for us. We will be knowing that which control we are talking about, which text box we are talking about, because there the name will come according to this. Okay. Okay. Anyways, so this is how the form looks like. Now, obviously, when I click on some button, I want to go to the next page. You know, my form should take me to the different form. So that's what I want to do here. I mean, right now, so I go and create a button here. This button, I click here and I create this. This is my command button, guys. Command button means when you click on this, what do you want to do? If somebody does not know VBA, then they use these all actions. So when we do the Access front-end training, we will talk about it. So record navigation, find next, find record, go to first record, go to last record, go to next record, go to previous record. So you have a different, these navigation buttons here. But I'm not interested in all that because I would directly want to use the VBA programming. So I go and cancel this. So I go and right here, click. So when I want to now, let me show you here. Let's click on this and let's go and give it a name also. So I'm under the Alt tab. So command button is CMD, click. So now what will happen when I click on the view and I go and write here 635 and the password I give, let's say hello or whatever, and you click here. You see, this click will tell you whether this is authenticated or not. Right now, we're just keeping it simple. We are not going to make any dynamic user form. That we will learn in a different chapter. Right now, I'm just trying to make you familiar with the delookup function, which is very useful in Access. So you want to click here, and when you want to click here, your username should be picked up by some variable and it should be looked up here. And if that username exists here, then they want to see that the password which you have in the login detail table, if that is equals to this password or not. If it is, we will say successfully logged in. If it is not, we will say login failed. This is the only thing I want to do. So how will you do that? We go in the design view from here to design it, right? I click on this click button, and now here in the event, I have so many events here. You know what are the events? We will be talking about it. So in VBA, events means self-triggered macros, self-running macros. So if you want that whenever my user clicks on this button, some VBA program should run, then you can go in the event and you can choose the on click. If you want that when you got the focus on this command button, that means when I just go and put my mouse here, you want to run something, put it on the got focus. Similarly on the lost focus, similarly on the double click, whatever you want to do. So we will just simply go here and I simply click on this button. You want to run the macro? No. You want to run some, you want to build some expression, some query sort of that? No. I want to write the code. So please go to the code builder. Now in this, when you click, this will, this program will run. So what are you supposed to do now? You are supposed to now, first of all, capture the username. So I go and capture that my username as a string and my password as string, right? This is how we will do it. So now what will you do? First of all, you will capture your username. What is your username? Your username is me.txt username. Now you see the difference? If you do not give these names, if you do not rename these controls, you would find here text 1, text 2, text 3, and so on. And it is not easy for us to remember that text 1 was actually referred for the username. Maybe in a situation where you have 2 or 3 text boxes, it is easy to remember. But if you have a long form, generally you make the very big forms in Access, there it will not be a good idea to leave the by default naming convention. So that's why I put this all these names. The moment I write txt, because I know if I have to search my txt, I can write txt and all the information would come here. That's why I started writing their txt. I could have used their username only, but then if I forget what was the name, then again that's a challenge. You have to again come back to the design view and you have to go to the property of that control and you have to click on the all to check what name you had given. So that's why we started everything with the txt, so that we can, the moment I write txt, the drop down comes and we can see all the properties. So you can see that these are all the properties. Obviously they are the properties because they are telling you about your text boxes. Now if you are wondering that why I have used me word is nothing, it just denotes the form. So this refers to your form one. So this is a shortcut. That's how we write me dot, right? Because you have to go inside the form. So you write me, and then when you press dot, you see the all the information. So now I want to capture my username. So I go and capture my username from here. So my username variable now will hold my text box username. Same way I will capture my password as well. Txt password dot value. Now guys, once you have both these, values coming here from the user front end, so now we will go and check this username and the password. Are they exist in the login detail? Okay, so this is how we now going to check that. Now, since we know the DLOOKUP, you don't have to declare a record set and you don't have to run the loop. Like now you can do that with the loop as well. You can open the record set login detail and you can go to the first record and then you can write the if function. You can start checking that all the, you can start checking that if my username is equals to this, my username variable or not. And then if it is not, then go to the next record, then check for this and then go to the next. So ultimately you will run the loop and wherever you find the username, you go and check the password and then you will match. But that's gonna take a lot of time because then one by one the it has to loop through. Since we know the functions, we can use the functions now. So what I will do is I will look up my this first of all the password of my username in the login detail table. So you go and write here that I go and create one more variable which is let's say dim uh, original password as string, right? So now you write here that what is the original password. We will go and check that. Now you go and use the DLOOKUP, guys. Okay. Expression as string, domain, and criteria. Three criterias we have. Three parameters we have. Expression as string. Expression as string means which is the field you want to consider. So I have employee ID, username, password. So I go and write here password, because I need the password. So that's why you write. If I need the employee ID, you go and write the employee ID. And if I need the username, I go and write the username. Now in the domain, what I do, domain means, so this field, obviously, if you're referring to the password field, you have to tell the Access VBA that which table you're talking about. So in the domain, you write the table name. So this is now it is going to be read as that in the login details table, we want to go and we want to talk about the password field. But with what criteria? Criteria is important. Well, wherever I have in this entire table login detail, wherever my username is what is stored in the text box, go and check that. So you write that the username in the double quotes, username, because this is a username, the table equals to, put it within the double quote and then join it with what? Your variable. So username should be equals to my username and close the bracket. This is how it is. Getting the point? So we are saying go in the login detail. In the login detail, go inside, go in the field called password and get us the password wherever this criteria is going to meet. So wherever I have my username equals to, this username equals to my variable, which is this. Okay. So then you will be able to find out the password. That's how we use the DLOOKUP. So now I go and run this. I put the break code here. Let's go to the form. So I go and go in the view, form view, and I write here, let's say Ajay, and I write here password called Ajay because I'm Ajay and I'm logging in. I click here and you see the macro starts running. So go and press F8. You have got the username as Ajay and you have got the password also as Ajay. Now this original password, which is right now empty variable, will return us the password of my username called Ajay. So we are saying in the login detail, please capture the password. Give us the password where we have the username, this header equals to Ajay. Run this. The Microsoft Access database engine cannot find the input table or query login detail. Make sure it exists and that its name is spelled correctly. Now, guys, the problem is with this syntax. it says that there's something wrong in the syntax. Now I know my login details is I don't think so we have any spelling mistakes here. Password is also correct. The headers are matching. The only thing which I need to work here is, because I know the error, you have written this username equals to in the double quotes, right? This is how we write the criteria, because this is a variable and you can't put this in the double quotes. That's why we did that. Now, when you write the DLOOKUP, you have to enclose this variable with the single quotes. Single quote in front, single quote at the end. And this is something today is a new thing for you, but when we will be talking about the SQL queries, this is very much in use there. What I'm saying is you have to put the single quotes like this, single quote and single quote. This is how we write the thing. Single quote here and single quote here, like this, right? But the point is, if you try to do that, you compile compiler VBA compiler will not allow you to, you know, write this. It says that it's expecting the expression because this is incorrect. Now you can't just directly go and write the single quote like this because this will affect your variable. In this way, you're trying to create something new. This is not going to be treated as this variable because you're changing, in the variables, we don't write any double quotes or single quotes, but we have to write it in this case, but in a proper way. You put that in the double quotes like this. Let me go and increase the size of this. So this is how it is. You put the double quotes, and inside the double quotes, you put that single quote and concatenate it, obviously, because this is now going to be treated as a string. And same way, guys, here, join this using the AND operator with double quote, now single quote and double quote. That's all. To get the single quote, right? So if I go and, show you this entire line. So let me see that if I can show you. If I go and pick up this entire line, you can see that it says that username equals to, you know, username and the entire output. If you look at this entire output, on the equals to sign, it says Ajay and the double quotes is there on the extreme right side. So when I run this now, I get the problem here again that it can't find the input table login underscore details, right? So basically what happened when I created the table, if you go to the F2 of this, there is a space I have created. So that's why I said that you have to be very, very particular about giving the names. So this space was coming, that was the problem. So I just go and change that. And now we go and run this. And now you can see that we got the original password. So my DLOOKUP had worked for me. Now, just in case, guys, if you don't, if you forget to put this, single quote, for example, this is how the data is, right? So I go and use this now. I click here again and let's go and run this code. Now you see that the expression you entered as a query parameter produced this error. So it shows the error on the Ajay part, which is this part. So when you get that sort of error, you have to put that in the single quote. So please remember this. So I'm going to put this single quote here. Now, once I do that, I'm done. Now, this password is coming from the database. So I can write here that if my original password is equals to my password, then message box successfully logged. And if it is not, else, then say message box login failed. This is how it is. And if. So we can go and run this. Let's go and check that. Now, I'm just trying to put the message box here, but obviously after putting the message box, you want to do many things. Maybe you want to take the user to the new form so that he can work on there. We will not right now going to talk about that because for that we will have a separate session. I'm only trying to tell you today the functions, the use of the functions. What do you want to do after the successful login? What do you want to do after the login fail? That's entirely a different thing. So I go and click here. You can see that successfully logged in because you got the Ajay password as Ajay. Now, suppose if I go and write here ABC and I click here, it says login failed, right? That's how it is. So if I go and put the break code here, just to show you, I click here. Now you see that your original password is Ajay. So if your original password is Ajay, then what is the your password, which is ABC, this one, which the user got it from the password. So obviously they are not equal. So you have this login failed. So this is how we use the DLOOKUP, or this is how we use the functions. In DLOOKUP, you have to be little cautious by making sure that you should write the correct syntax, in the sense that if any criteria is written here, it should be followed by the single quotes before and after, and the table name and the field headers should come same. That is how it is. Now in the next session we will be talking about the how you can create your own functions. Own functions means which does not exist in Access VBA, or even not even in Access, right? Well, we are not talking about the Access front part, but in the Access VBA you can create your own functions as well, and that's more powerful. So we call them user defined functions. So that's the end of this. Let's meet in the next chapter and let's cover the functions there. So thank you so much for watching, and guys, next time when we complete the functions, then you can start working on the function assignments also. Thanks once again and happy coding. I'll see you now next time. Bye bye.